for 5 years after the oil began to flow, Abu Dhabi got nothing but piecemeal changes. Now Zayed has come to power with a plan to make Abu Dhabi the model state of Arabia, with all the paraphernalia of development. In the first few months of his rule, he awarded $70 million worth of contracts, and he's out every day to spur on the men who are making him a brand new kingdom.
And this will be going out approximately a mile, and the second stage, which will be done next spring or next summer, whenever Your Highness decides, would continue on out into the very deep water for the large freighters, the large ships.
طال عمرك يقول هو هذا الدفن اللي انتم تكلمتوا عليه، يعني اللي طلبتوا منه الدفن هو اللي يطلع ميل واحد.
The machines that come ashore on the beach are pounding the desert into new shapes. The men who descend from the aeroplanes are drafting a new world.
You are working night shift also?
Yes, day and night.
It's a world where time and opportunity have changed places. Yesterday, time seemed endless and the opportunities few. Today, time is short and the opportunities are infinite.
Going out for approximately a mile, which we had discussed with you in your office when Mr. Griesbach, our design engineer, was here a month ago.
Zaid told me once he didn't know what would happen in 10 years' time, but he felt he must give everything to his people now because they'd had nothing for so long. Schools and hospitals, wells and houses, an artificial deep-water harbour to replace the Abu Dhabi beach, a 4-lane highway and a water pipeline across the desert, an airport with a runway longer than London's.
This is just the location of it. Now, you are approximately in this area here, Your Excellency, Your Highness, and as we were going down, the road...
Of course it'll change everything. Zaid's told me that too. The first thing to go, he said, would be the Arab's love for his camel. But what's a camel to a VC-10?
Oh, he would take very easily 4 or 5 of the big VC-10s.
طال عمرك يعني المنطقة هذه الآن تسع حوالي 5 طائرات من الطائرات الكبيرة.
And of course, the smaller the DC-3s would take quite a few. See, one of the difficulty things we don't know how many aircraft will be coming in here, Your Highness, and this is one of the things which you yourself will have to decide how many airlines you'll permit to come into Abu Dhabi. And this will, of course, govern the number of aircraft here at any one time.
Decide. Choose. Act. Sometimes, under these new imperatives, Zaid acts pretty hastily and harshly. He dismissed this plan for a new souk in Abu Dhabi with scarcely a moment's thought.
Small scale, no, yes. We'd have to show detailed plans.
Yes, bigger. استوي هذا على حسب رضاكم إذا ما فيش اسمه.
لا 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 أنا مو براضي عن هذا ولا.
No, never, never, never. Take it away and start again. So 2 months' work is demolished in a moment. He who pays the piper calls the tune. In the courtyard of Zaid's palace, the centuries slide back again. A moment ago, Zaid was the modern oil tycoon, aloof and decisive. Now he's back in the role of Sheikh, the universal uncle to his people, the feudal lord with his followers, in procession to the daily feast. To the tribesmen of the desert, used to bread and dates in the sand, Zaid's table is a revelation. It's loaded with more food than many of them have ever seen, and it really is a table and not just the floor. The idea of a free meal for all Zaid's followers is traditional, and he rarely sits down with less than 50 men. But the forms and the food are new. Money talks here through waiters in black ties, through plates and soup spoons, and a whole new ritual of table manners to master. Like the newly rich in any part of the world, the Arabs of Abu Dhabi are learning to keep up with the Joneses. Snobbery is the latest local vice.
يمكن هناك شيء سر
These are our rulers.
These are our rulers.
Good. What's this?
That's the door.
Yes, say, that's the door.
That's the door.
What's that?
That's the ceiling.
And what's this?
This is the
While the fathers learn new manners, a few of their sons learn new tongues.
That's the ceiling.
Foreign languages and foreign teachers bring foreign ideas.
That's the ceiling. Yes.
That's the ceiling.
Yes.
This is the floor.
Good.
Here's a pencil.
Good.
Here's a ruler. There's a picture. Say it again.
Good. Now all together, stand up. Yes? That's the window. Huh. That's the window.
That's the door. That's the ceiling. This is the floor. Here's a pencil. Here's a ruler. There's a picture. Say it again.
فإذا انشقت السماء وكانت فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
But the old ways are still the only ways for most of Arabia's children. Schools like this, where the boys learn the Holy Quran by heart, haven't changed in 1,000 years. It's still the only sort of school most kids ever see, if they're lucky enough to see a school at all. The romance of the old Arabia was always a bit of an illusion. In reality, the place was and still is full of desperate poverty and sickness. There wasn't a single hospital in Abu Dhabi until a few years ago, and doctors were hardly ever seen. Now there's this American mission hospital, overburdened, overcrowded, forced to compromise, like everything in Arabia, between modern standards and old habits.
It's something that we have not wanted to exist, these patients being in all together, but we've been working on it, and we haven't come up with a good answer, simply because we don't have enough staff to watch all the doors. We lock the front door and they come in the back door or the side door. So we have gotten sort of used to it over the years, so that now we don't mind it much. When they're all in there together, it's their hard luck if they can't have the privacy of a personal examination from the doctor. The little children often have diarrheas or fever, colds, and sores and abscesses and such to take care of. And then the local Arabs seem to have their share of accidents, falling out of a palm tree or off of a camel. And they seem to be sort of dangerous. They may fracture a limb or break a hip. And most all of the people are suffering from eye ailments of one sort or another, from the youngest child to the oldest man, with the ailment of trachoma, which is about 99% prevalent here. Many of them are suffering from tuberculosis. More and more we are detecting this disease as we go on with X-ray. تمام هذا تمام هذا الحين نريد نفس صدرك شوية ها
نراك
بس من هني
Tradition still throws a veil around the women of Arabia that even the doctor can't quite penetrate. His examinations here are probings in the dark.
وين يعود أكثر هني شوي هني شو هذا أوكل من أول وسم.
The women are the most conservative force of all, secluded, unchanging, uneducated, and fatalistic. They accept their lot meekly, and they do their duty faithfully as the handmaidens and chattels of men. But for how much longer? When even under the thorn bush the doctor arrives with his medicine, and every jab with a syringe becomes a sort of revolution. Some of it may be still a bit like faith healing. No doctor's skill could have cured this man's tuberculosis. The most that medicine could do was to give him a sort of comfort on the way to death. But if the 20th century medicine doesn't always work, it does challenge that submission to the will of God that accepts death whenever it likes to strike. So Islam itself comes under attack. God's will always seems more flexible when you can meet it with a millionaire's money.
I'll be honored to present the estimates for Abu Dhabi for the year 1967. The total revenue, as estimated, is 41,202,080 dinars.
For the ruler, the days are over when he had so little money that nobody cared how he spent it. Now Zaid must have a budget and a British accountant to keep the books.
Development expenditure is estimated at 23,275,671 dinars.
ومشاريع التطوير في الإمارات.
Every penny is another nail in the coffin of the old Arabia, and maybe in the life of Zaid too.
Dinar. You haven't included the airport building here, the terminal building.
The airport building hasn't been tendered for.
It hasn't been tendered for. But this goes in the lump sum.
That goes in the lump sum of 10 million down here. Yes. When I said that this included all the expenditure, there are things like the police, for instance, where it's impossible to get a true estimate. We have to wait the arrival of the new people to give us these estimates. I've put in 1/3 dinars for them to give them authority to spend.
Outside Zaid's office, time still seems endless and patience still comes easily. His people have given up their lives to Allah. What God wills, they still accept. But the signs of dissolution are all around them, like the leisurely old world's cast-off furniture and the new office chairs that are waiting to take its place. As the offices grow, the people seem to shrink. When Zaid was simply the leader of a tribe, these men could meet him every day. Now he's the administrator of a modern state. He's forced to shut them out of his life. They can only wait while the world moves in a business suit. Even Zaid is a little less sure of himself. He can ask the new questions and make new demands, but who can give him the answers?
You see, His Highness, for this year, of course, we're giving him something very approximate.
Yeah.
But for next year's, he'd like it as precise as possible.
Well, I'm hoping that the exercise in the coming year will give us the material for next year, but at the moment there's nothing to go on.
From their uncertainty about the new way of life, Zaid and his men go back to the desert as often as they can. The desert is still home, the place they knew before they were rich, and the only place they will really know until the day they die. In the desert for a day or a week or a month, they can go back to their old and simpler ways, to a genuine sense of comradeship that the modern world leaves no time for. There are no budgets and civil servants here, no plans, no figures, no complications, no closed office doors.
نحن ناوي مسيركم قلنا الشيوخ قيلوا والشيوخ ما عندهم دله ونحن بس نسوي لهم الكهوة.
There's the sky, the heat, the emptiness, and the infinity of time that they've always understood. Out here, they can all be sure of themselves again. They can relax and be men again. Or perhaps, being only men, they can just be boys. Even Zaid, the ruler, can let his hair down here and be one of the boys fighting a mock battle with his secretary. On trips like this, the desert is an escape, a recovery of innocence, a return to Eden. But like all escapes, it's also an illusion. The innocence is lost and will never be recaptured, because the old Arabia of isolation, hardship, and tribal war in which it flourished has been swept into the world at last. The unknown land has been more than just discovered. It's been uncovered in the past 10 or 20 years and dragged naked into everybody's sight. Of course, this doesn't mean that the old Arabia has disappeared in the space of the last few years. It's still a hard land that breeds a hard people. Tough individuals like Zaid and his men, and some of them still fighting a rearguard action against the assaults of the modern world. All the same, in the end, the 20th century brooks no defaulters. Here in Arabia, one of the last of the lonely lands is surrendering its old independence. From now on, its people will have to face, like the rest of us, the infinite hopes, possibilities, and disillusionments of the modern, universal world.
This has been NET Journal, a weekly look at the events, issues, and people of the world today.
This is NET, the National Educational Television Network.